Hello and welcome to Becoming Abundant podcast. I am your host, Anna Maria Jinga, and this is our side of the internet where we get to speak about true abundance, personal authority, emotional optimization, and the pure power of alignment, all while living in the presence and guidance of God Himself. I am a holistic coach and mentor focusing on healing the emotions keeping you stuck so that the mind and body can align and live a limitless life. We all have a mission and a purpose, and I am here to help you unchain from what's been holding you back to actually live in your full potential. Think of it as transformative triggering in the best possible way. The time has come to live a life you love. Let's dive in. Hello, hello, my darlings, and welcome to another amazing week of Becoming Abundant podcast with your host, Anna Maria Jinga. And today we have a very special and dear to my heart guest speaker that I've known her for probably almost 2 years now, and I'm so excited to share her with you guys. Hannah Bailey. I get to speak a little bit about her and then we dive into all the goodies. So, Hannah is a mom who defines herself as Han of all trades, which I absolutely love. We have to talk about that later. She does it all, but she does it with a system that is nearly foolproof in having listened to hundreds of hours of self development podcasts and books. Most importantly, she is a devoted mother and wife who will always prioritize the nuclear family over career, but that doesn't stop her from dreaming big, networking large, coaching others every day to start their own journeys on creating the life they want to live. No matter how simple or robust, they want to make it. My darlings, give a big high energy for Hannah Bailey.
Hey guys, I cannot wait to dive into this conversation and hopefully touch so many women in the process and men. I do want men to be inspired as well for their wives, their daughters, their families. I'm just so pumped.
Oh, I love it. And I love the fact that you said men too, because funny enough, we have quite a few men here. Even though I want to speak to women and speak life back into women, we have so many men coming back to Christ, coming back to the family nuclear dynamic because
Mhm.
of what we're working here. So I'm so happy that I get to have you here and we get to dive into everything. And first and foremost, I want to know, tell me a little bit more about Han of all trades. What is that meaning? That expressing for you? Share with us everything.
So initially, when I read the full scope of Jack of all trades is a master of none, that's actually not the full quote. It's the cherry picked part. It actually is, but Jack of all trades, having not mastered one is still better than having mastered none, right? So I didn't quote that perfectly, but
Yeah.
it's better to be a jack of or Jane or Han of all trades because you diversify yourself. And so I love just being a student all the time and I love learning. Like I said, I do thousands of probably hours of personal development because if I'm willing to devote myself to growth and expansion and knowledge, who can I reach that needs something that they have nowhere to look? They have no clue where to find a resource. So I consider myself one of the biggest resources, and it's God's gift to me. And I had a friend yesterday actually text me, and she's like, "Have you heard of XYZ?" And I sent her government backed documents, and she goes, the fact that you have these on hand, and I said, no, it's not that I have them on hand. It's that I just know where to look and
Yeah.
provide you the evidence and the information. And she was just mind blown. But I want to be that for people because I didn't have someone to go to that was full of resources. And whenever I would ask questions, for example, like I want to go into law enforcement. And so I was hit with a lot of this isn't something that you really want to do. And I didn't listen to that fully because I didn't understand the intensity and the drain, the mental health drain on it as well. And recognizing the downfall that could come with that of, oh, this is going to impact my family. This is going to impact how I perceive people. And so when I got into the field, because I did get hired on, I never did end up finishing the academy. I actually left and then I became a mom very quickly after. But when I got accepted, I started to recognize it in the flesh. And so you can't learn from other people's experiences. But I'm here to say, like, I want you to learn through experience, but here's a resource so that you go into it with knowledge and understanding versus, oh, that's not something you want to go into. Well, show me why.
Yeah.
Show me why. And so, hand of all trades is I literally homestead, I homeschool, I work a full-time job, I have a side gig of reselling, I make mini guides, I make homeschool content, I do bodybuilding, I do so many things, but it's because I love it and it's fun. And the amount of people that I've gotten to network with is just something that I would have never been able to do if I didn't put myself in those environments and try to cultivate relationships there, cultivate the knowledge, learn skills, because most people after they graduate college, they don't learn anything. All of the reading goes downhill,
Yeah.
personal development doesn't happen, we get stuck in cycles, and then woe is me, and the American dream doesn't exist, and all of these negative thoughts. And I'm not going to allow myself or my children to experience that negativity and that rat race or the hamster wheel. So that's why I decided to become a hand of all trades.
That's amazing. And I love what you said earlier around it can be everything. It's not either or, it's both. It's all of it. And the fact that you got yourself plugged into so many areas and so many avenues has benefited you, not just as a personal self, but also as a mom, as a
Yeah.
wife, as a homesteader, as a homeschooler. All of these are connected to you. And I actually am wondering when you do all of this, because as moms, we love to do either everything or nothing, and it's crazy.
Right.
We don't have a gray line, it's just
Right.
either or. How do you set up boundaries that respect your energy and still do everything?
Yeah. Oh, I live by a Google Calendar. I'm not gonna lie.
I love that.
If it's not on my calendar, I'm not doing it. Or my reminders on my iPhone. I love to set reminders. I don't always have them the same every day. And so you have to recognize that rigidity is not the answer, because then you start to fall into the trap that I'm either an imposter and an imposter syndrome sets in, or you start to feel like a failure. And
Yeah.
then you get into a headspace of, well, it's not something that I can actually accomplish. And for me, I did not know how to play piano. Our home came with a piano. This is just an example of where I've learned in the process.
Yeah.
My girls wanted to learn to play piano. All I did was order them piano key books for beginners.
Yes.
And because it was labeled as a schoolhouse teaching piano, they were able to teach themselves. So now I'm immersed in a lot of music, not necessarily by choice, but because it's here,
Yeah.
why not allow that to be nourished? So make sure that each day looks different so you don't get bored. We don't want to get ourselves in that rat race either of, oh, I'm just spinning my wheels. If you don't set yourself up to enjoy what you're doing, you will resent it, and then it will become something that you're just doing because you feel obligated to. And I don't do anything out of obligation. If
Nice.
I feel like I'm obligated to do something, I don't really want to do it, because then it's like, do I actually enjoy this, or am I serving someone else? How does this serve both of us to where we're both gaining something? We're both enjoying the process. Like my husband, he did not really want to be home full time,
Yeah.
but then I found something for him that he got gain from. Now it's like, oh, we can live by a budget, and there's nothing stressful about that, because I have something that I know that I could only do if I was home and a full-time student, and I wouldn't be able to do that on just the weekends.
Nice. Yes, and it's so important to recognize that it doesn't have to be so overwhelming. When you do
Right.
things that are exciting for you, it doesn't have to be so crazy to do them or like constantly sacrificing yourself. You said it so well around if it doesn't make me happy to do it, if it doesn't align with who you are, there's no good reason to actually do it. It's so
Yep.
powerful, and especially for the moms listening to this. You do not need to serve everyone. We need to serve our
Right.
children, our husbands, and that's about it. And ourselves
Yeah.
and God.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
it. And
That's
everything
it.
else is a beautiful bonus. We get to take care
Yes.
of our friends better because we take care of us better. We get to
Mhm.
expand our communities because we align better that way. It's so beautiful. And the fact that you've built this system so effortless. I
Mhm.
know it hasn't been actually effortless, but
Right.
you found the things that feel effortless now. what would you tell someone just starting off building this foolproof system for themselves?
Everyone always like gets tense when I say this. Isolation is key. You have
Mm,
to recognize that isolation can be very beneficial. It's like putting a seed into the ground and it doesn't germinate for 7 to 14 days. Okay, allow yourself to germinate. Allow yourself to be nurtured and then come up when you're ready. I take a lot of random times off social media. I always warn people so no one goes looking for me and they're like, oh, she's ignoring me or something happened. That's not the case at all. But I also want to set a boundary and I also want to set an example. Hey, I'm going off the line and this is for my benefit. It's for everyone's benefit, probably more than anything. And this is why. And then I come back refreshed, recharged, and I allow myself the same respect that I would allow setting myself up an appointment for a doctor. You know, say someone is looking at a scary cancer diagnosis, they're not going to miss that next appointment. They're
yeah.
just not. It will
Yeah.
move everything around to make it a priority. And if we're not treating ourselves with the same respect and prioritizing ourselves, we're allowing ourselves to be worse off 6 months down the road because
Yeah.
we've decided we're not a priority. It can wait, but it can't. And then things start to compound. And so when I started to recognize isolation prevents compounding negative outcomes, I started to understand that it really doesn't matter what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And I got out of the comparison trap. You know, a lot of people only do things because they feel like it gives some sense of purpose.
Mm,
And they end up drained. It's not actually giving them a sense of purpose because they get into the environment that they're volunteering and then they hear all of these beneficial, you know, feedback for someone else. And they're like, well, why am I not being recognized?
yeah.
And that's an internal issue. That's no one else. That's something that has to be really dissected in a private setting at home, in prayer and journaling, something of that nature to say, why am I like this? And it typically goes back to a rooting in childhood. And so when you start to recognize why the patterns are the way that they are as adults, you start to let go of, I don't need to be everywhere for everyone and everything. And it's
Yeah.
okay. It is okay to change jobs. It's okay to move states or countries. It's okay because what else am I doing here? And so asking the questions of why,
Yeah.
what, how, when, and all the in betweens, and being like, okay, if someone came to me and said, why am I doing this? Can you help me?
Yeah.
What answer would you give that person?
Yeah.
And how would you help them? Now help yourself the same way.
Nice. Oof, that was so powerful. And I could totally tell you've been reading a million and one personal development
All
books.
of
It's so
them.
nice hearing all of that, even as reminders. Sometimes we forget that the good questions give us the
Mhm.
good answers. So when you think of all of your millions and wonderful millions of hours spent in personal development, what would be one massive shift that happened from learning so much for you?
Oh gosh. That I have a voice and
Mm, yes.
using my voice
Amen, honey.
allows for me to get what I want.
Yeah.
And my husband is always asking me, he goes, you have so much audacity. And it's not even being audacious. It's, I don't live in fear of
Yeah.
asking the question because I know that there are really only two answers, yes and no.
Yeah.
And so when you accept that, then there is nothing to be afraid of asking. The
Yeah.
worst that someone can say is no. And sure, they can rattle off some, you know, obscenities and be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But why take that personally when that's a reflection of them and their
Yes.
perception of things? And so I don't take a lot of things personally.
Nice.
There are very few things that I sit with for a little bit and then I get up and I'm like, well, that was dumb. Like, why did I let that sit for so long? And just letting it go. Just let
Yeah.
it, use your voice and let it go.
Nice. And did you hear that, my darlings? Let it go. You have a voice. And also, don't take things personally. Just let things detach from you, because that's the benefit of honoring your voice is you realize that another person has a voice too, and they can
Yeah,
use it however they want, and they can see things through their own filter, and it might not be correct, and it has nothing to do with you. So it's so
exactly.
powerful living in that space of just how you said, there are only two answers, yes or no. And
Yeah.
both of them are great. One is
Mhm.
freeing you from something that's not aligned with you. The other one is aligning with you even more. That's it. It can be that simple. Ooh. And because of that, because you said I'm so audacious, not from an audacious point of view, but
Yeah.
what's an audacious dream that you're working on right now?
Oh my goodness. We are being audacious in the economic climate that we're in. And it's so funny because every time I talk to someone about this, a post on my Facebook feed will be like, we're spending $4,500 in groceries. I'm like, who the F is spending this much in grocery? Like, what
What are
are you
you
doing?
eating?
Yeah, what are you eating? Where do you live? Like, I have so many questions. You're a little case study for me. And so for us, our audacious thing that we're doing is working to become debt free. And I think being able to say that we're doing this without generational wealth is one of the craziest things that's, I do spend money on myself. Okay. I'm not going to say that I don't within reason. Where is it prioritizing for us kind of thing? There's this negotiation that we do of like, does it fit in the budget? Is it really a priority? Is it going to move us forward in our careers and wherever we want to go next? But we look at the economic climate and we're like, we want to be debt free and not enslaved to the world. And so that is audacious to people because that to them is just so unfathomable. And I think it does come down to choices. We made some good life choices, and I've also made some bad ones. I had to rebuild my credit, but looking at the scope of things and saying we made some good choices to begin with, even though we dug our heels in and didn't want to do them at the time, the good choices really do outweigh the audacious outcome. And most people are going to say, oh, well, you're lucky. No, you want to look at my budget? I'm not lucky. I am very much a person that is going to come at you full speed, bullheaded, and say, this isn't luck. I
Yeah,
don't have a trust fund. And actually, that's why I have a chip on my shoulder. My trust fund was drained before I turned 18.
there you
And
go.
so now it's personal. It is 110% personal to say, I am not like my parents. I didn't
Yeah,
have wealth given to me that got pissed away.
yeah,
And I'm gonna my children, hey, I'm doing this for you, but you're also going to watch the struggle. And I told a coaching client yesterday, I said, my children struggle because I let them struggle. And I want them to know struggle to some degree, but they need to know the real world is not nice.
yeah.
And they have chores. They're learning things that I didn't learn. I didn't grow up with chores. And so that's audacious in this world. People are like, here's an iPad, here's a camp, here's school, 8, 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Mm-mm, not in my house.
Nope. No, because you chose to be in the audacious freedom that you
Yeah.
get to control your life. And that's
Yes.
why, honestly, that's why I wanted you on the podcast, because the freedom that we get to create in our kids, with the freedom that we get to create in our communities, it comes
Yes.
from us, from making the hard choices of, I'm not going to go do that. I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to follow a governmental policy just because everyone else is doing it. I'm not going to sit with my head in the sand thinking someone's going to come save me. There's
Yeah.
none of that. And we get to
No one
offer
saves you.
that to our kids as well, because
Yeah.
in their struggle, in their not getting their way all the time, which honestly,
Yeah.
parents, don't let your kids get away with everything, because that's teaching them how to be a horrible part of society. We don't do that.
So
Let
manipulative
them
too.
fail. Exactly. Exactly. And because we get to create these spaces for the kids, for the communities, when you think of your networking, because you are the queen of networking in my books, what's something that helped you shift so strongly into creating spaces for people to network, to connect? What's that one thing that you can advise people to do?
Yeah, networking is just such a blessing because there's so many women specifically that they don't know where to start
Yeah,
and they don't know who to talk to. And
yeah,
there's this fear of rejection. And so in my space, in my profile, I always say, like, you can network with anyone here. What I won't tolerate is people going around and poaching or like hunting people down. And so I do preserve my space of, you can't see my friends list.
Yeah.
I open it up to, we can all network together. I will tag someone. I will say, here, let me get you two connected. But when it comes to why it even started, I knew that women, especially in rural America, like I live in, they had
Yeah.
no clue how to get their dreams off the ground. They had no
Yes.
clue who to talk to. They had no clue how to get funding or if they even needed funding. And so I always try to teach them a way to be debt free or at least go in to where there builds equity and you have the freedom to create it however you want. And so the freedom of time and home and space and energy and all of that is there. But so many women had lost the idea of like, and I blame the 70s. I blame the feminist network and their goal of, oh, let's go get into the workforce. You can work if you want. That's great. I work. I work from
Yeah.
home. I work on my own time.
Yeah.
But I don't have to sacrifice my family for that either. And again, every day I see someone crying about I have to spend X amount of money on childcare. I'm basically only working to pay for childcare. My husband pays all the bills.
That's horrible.
The disconnect of you could be home and you could do something that you're passionate about is just mind-boggling to me. And I've watched women thrive and
Yeah.
I want to show them an example of, hey, it's capable, you're possible. Like I just switched, it's possible, you're capable.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like my mind just feels at that. Like, come on, just see the hope and let me show you my community. And I don't even have a community space like most coaches do. It's literally, hey, I'm here for you. Don't feel like you can't come into my inbox. Don't feel like you can't comment. Don't feel like that I'm in some realm that you're not. I'm on the same field, same plane. Like we're just hanging out here.
Yeah.
And everyday people that you want to connect with because everyone knows someone you don't. And don't look over someone because you think, oh, what do they have that I don't have? Or who do they know? They're just someone who stays at home. Guess
Yeah.
what? The stay-at-home moms talk to the most people. I'm telling you right now.
That's
We
so
are not
true.
bubbles. We don't stick to the same cubicle. We're not passing the same 5 people every day. So
Yeah.
allow yourself to expand on what can I give to people and how might it come back to me?
Yes. And with that, I'm curious because I hear this so often. Stay-at-home moms or even moms working feel the guilt of doing something passionate that they
Yeah.
can create and then they can actually have an income from that. What would you advise them?
I would say so do something that is freeing for you. It doesn't have to be an income
Yeah.
because I think the guilt of, oh, what if it fails is what creeps in. That's the fear and the guilt of I don't need to spend money on myself when we could be spending money here. There's always this justification of if I spend money here, we won't have money here. Instead of actually sitting down with a budget and recognizing where's my money going, because
Yeah.
there are so many subscriptions that people have that they forget that they have
So
and then they're trying to get a refund because they recognize it when they actually sit down with the budget. But most people don't know where their money is actually going. And my husband learned the hard way too. When I started our budget last year, he was going and spending $80 at the gas stations and drive-throughs throughout the week, plus $300-400 in gas just to drive. And
yeah.
so I'm like, you're barely making money. Like, why don't you just come home? It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. We can actually make this work. And when I had it all pen to paper and numbers crunched, he was like, wow, that's actually sick that I literally don't even cover bills. And it wasn't even
Crazy.
worth it. And so being able to say, I don't need to be guilty. I don't need to feel guilty. No one is actually shaming me. And if they are, I'm right here to be the bulldog for you and be like, get a grip. Because everyone needs a healthy outlet, whether it be crafting or quilting or baking sourdough or gardening, whatever that is. Stop saying you'll do it on the weekends. Allow yourself to be immersed in it somewhere daily. Like I have a reminder on my phone, 10 minutes of creative space for myself. It doesn't have to be the same creative space every day, but I need 10 minutes to do that. And I need an outlet. I need something that moves my hands in somewhere and something that I feel like I'm making progress in. Like when it comes to quilting, I do little by little. I don't do it all in bulk like I used to do because I would burn out and then I wouldn't do it for months. So if I go at it at a speed that is feasible, then I'm like, I'm making progress and I can see the progress. And it's not something that's just staring at me like, oh, it's been sitting there for 2 years. Because how many people pick up a project and they get all the things that they need and they're in their best headspace, and then all of a sudden it sits for years and you're like, oh, I forgot that I even got all of those, because you pull out a tote or you're cleaning out your closet or whatever it is, and you feel guilty that you didn't actually commit to it.
Yeah.
So slow and steady. The commitment doesn't have to be something crazy, and the guilt really doesn't have to be there. And if people are making you feel guilty, snip, snip, out the door. Bye. You don't share that with
Burn the
them.
bridges.
Yeah. I always, my new favorite quote is, I'll burn that bridge when I get to it. Instead
Yeah.
of I'll cross it, I'll burn
I
it.
love that. I'll burn the bridge when I get to it.
I want a moat. I don't want a bridge.
A nice moat on an island. Perfect. Sipping our
Yeah.
little drinks. Fabulous. I love that. Oh my goodness. And the fact that you're simplifying it so well around, you don't need to feel guilty. You
Yeah.
literally just need to choose what fills your cup and then go from there. And time will happen. Time will create itself around this, because it doesn't have to be, oh, I need to block off 45 hours this week. No,
Yep.
it can be 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. So simple. But because of this, because of 20 minutes and 30 minutes, a question came to mind. You know how we were talking earlier about your competing days and
Yes.
all of the training that goes into that?
Mhm.
For someone that wants, and especially kind of tying it back to moms thinking, oh, how am I taking care of my body? What's a lesson that you've learned from your competing days that you have applied to your mom life as well?
Health matters. Physical health matters. And I sat for 18 months and halfway intentionally of not doing anything other than just like the normal day-to-day stuff. I wanted to be in a good postpartum space as well, to say I allowed myself to heal and not
Yeah.
put myself at risk for PPP, PPA, and PPD. I was like, there's two babies. There's more hormones than I normally would have. And I also didn't want to put myself in a fight or flight response that I did have with my second daughter, because my husband had deployed at the time. Now, granted, he was home with us the whole time with the twins. And so being able to recognize there probably was some postpartum anxiety with my second that
Yeah.
I ignored. But granted, 2020, I think everyone developed some level of anxiety. And so trying to recognize and identify things about myself and do intentional rest, reading, and allowing myself to disconnect was a really good place to be. I mean, I told you like 3 or 4 times, I was like, oh, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to, get back into it. It was not time. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that I didn't actually try to push through it,
Yeah.
because reflecting on where I am now, the dedication that I have now is so much healthier, and my children recognize it. And they're eating better and
Nice.
they're being more active. They're getting outside more with me, and they're identifying just simple responsibility to ourselves of health and water, especially, even though I'm not drinking. I do have a bubbly over here, but like not just consuming
Yeah.
snacks all long.
Yeah.
And they recognize rest is intentional. Bedtime has gotten so much easier. And I don't know what that is, if it's literally just because I'm sticking to a schedule for myself within my schedule that I already had.
Yeah.
But I understand and respect my time that I'm going to work out. They respect, for the most part, when I'm on my walking pad. And I also can do the walking pad while they're eating, while they're doing their schoolwork, while they're just playing.
Yeah.
There's no guilt in that. I don't have to completely remove myself from activity or to do activity
Yeah.
because I have children. And I think a lot of people get in this headspace of, well, I'm never going to be able to exercise or be active because I have this many children or I have these responsibilities. Why are you not loading your children up and going on a hike together or a trail
Yes.
walk? Or why can you not get on a walking pad and do that while they're doing whatever they're doing? Why can you not do body weight exercises? I just sent out to multiple women my body weight exercises that I do not skip at all every day.
Nice.
I sometimes incorporate some weights, but I'm down 12 pounds because I do this every
Nice.
single day and I
Woohoo.
respect myself Yeah, I feel great. I'm excited, but it really is just simplifying it to what do I have as resources? How much space do I have? What time constraints do I have? And if there are time constraints, what does it look like of are you abusing social
Yeah.
media? Are you abusing television? Are you abusing junk food? Are you like there's all these questions I could ask that we just have to be honest with ourselves. And if we're not being honest with ourselves, then we're not going to get the results that we want. And so again, goes back to what I said earlier about respecting appointments. Respect yourself in the same capacity, or you
Yeah.
could be worse off 6 months down the line.
Yeah. And it's so important to respect ourselves enough to tell ourselves the truth, because
Yeah.
sometimes we just dodge the truth because we would feel ashamed of it. But
Yes.
the 5 minutes of shame beat
Mhm.
10,000 times more the procrastination, the dodging, the
Yeah.
unfulfilled life, because that's not freedom. And you
Yes.
get to emulate freedom so effortlessly. I watch you all the time. You're like, I'm taking a break from social media for free for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be going on mom breaks. Tell me about mom breaks. How do you feel when you actually leave your kids home and enjoy time by yourself? I know you don't do it often, but there
Yeah.
are moms that don't do it at all. So
Yeah.
tell us
It
about
is
that.
it is so empowering. I had and I go back to the anxiety part. So like I've never been diagnosed with anxiety. However, I can recognize it whenever I talk to people that I coach and
Yeah.
identify, okay, maybe I have some of these characteristics that I need to actually break through and say there's nothing bad that could happen. Yes, there are many bad things that could happen, but the likelihood is slim because and statistically speaking and thinking of the millions of people, billions of people that exist in the world, you know, it is very unlikely that this one chaotic, crazy, whatever could happen. You know, we don't need to go to worst case scenario. So I had to remove worst case scenarios. But I also needed to empower my husband. He's not a
Mhm.
babysitter.
Yeah.
He's dad.
He's
And
that.
I just say, hey, he's capable. And if I don't believe in him of being capable, I'm never going to feel fulfilled in life.
Yeah.
He's never going to feel like he can fulfill his role as dad. He's never going to feel respected. That
Yeah.
was a huge thing that he voiced to me was when he got out of the Navy, he did not feel respected because it was my house because I had raised two of our four children alone. And so recognizing I have to let go of the reins. Like if we're going to be a team, I
Yeah.
have to allow that. I have to surrender and I cannot live in an anxious state of mind. So going on trips has been so heartwarming because other people respect me as a mom too. You know, they're
Yeah.
mindful. They ask about my children. They ask how things are going. They make sure that I have that time and that I'm not left out. And they also make sure that I have quality time to talk to my children and my husband and check in. And really, I thought that there would be more emotion, but it was just such a freeing experience to say, I can. And
Yeah.
that was it. That's it. I can. And nothing bad. Sure, he's gonna have setbacks. Children are gonna tumble and, get a bruise, or they're going to, spit out their food because they don't like it. But he can handle that. He can have a diaper blowout. He can, have a screaming match with our older girls going through their hormones. It's fine.
Yeah.
He can do it. It's not the end of the world. And he's
Yeah.
not going to lose his mind. You chose your spouse because you saw qualities in them that would be capable of raising children together. And if for some reason you think that they cannot now, you should seek therapy. That is my biggest piece of advice
Yeah.
because you need to work through that, whether it's together or alone. I'm an advocate for therapy when I was not an advocate for therapy for 27 years. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be ridiculed and they're going to put me in grippy socks. And I'm like, actually, I felt more normal at the end of it that I was like, I should have done this sooner.
It's so
I'm
important to
31
be
now,
able.
though.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's so important to be aware of that and to know that, hey, there are tools out there for us. There are ways to help us as mothers, as caregivers, as women, as business owners, as all of the things. And I know that you also have your own tools that you share with people. So tell me a little bit about the creative projects that you have going on right now.
oh gosh.
All
So,
of them.
which one? All of them. Okay. Well, so like I said, I love to create content. I am monetized on Facebook. I'm very grateful for that because I've lost it before. So I do sometimes get a little too political where they're like, oh, nope, you get
Wrong.
dinged for 6 months. And I'm like, okay. But I do create mini guides. I love to teach women how to create their own incomes from home, how to get into
Yes.
user-generated content. Like today, we were delivered a pregnancy test, and it was so funny to look at and be like, I don't need to use this, but
Yeah.
because I've used it before, I can give it a solid review. I have pictures that prove over the years that I've used this brand. So I'm like, cool, save this one for a rainy day. And then so there's a guide on different companies to reach out to and say like, how do I connect with this platform to companies that I would not know how to reach out to? And
Yeah.
again, this is getting audacious too of I had a company send 10 packs for all of us women to have flavored drinks while we were in Epcot, which is why I have this background. It
Fun.
it was wonderful. I got bold and I was like, hey, we're going on a bachelorette weekend. Like, I would love to promote this product while we're out and about. And they were like, here's what we'll send you. And I was like, boom, like massive packs.
Boom.
It was incredible. And
Fantastic.
then being able to resell. Most
Yeah.
people are struggling with their bills right now. And I'm like, there are probably 25 pieces of clothing in your closet that you don't wear
Easily. Easily.
easily. Like the consumerism, we don't do Christmas anymore. And due to consumerism, I was like, you know what? And getting into Torah, but I won't go into deep dive of that. But like recognizing things, I'm like, ugh, this doesn't feel right now that
Yeah.
like getting into that habit. And so we removed that, and my children don't know any better. They are so spoiled. We have horses, so I can tell you they're spoiled. But going back to teaching people how to create income streams for
Yeah.
themselves. And the digital space right now is limitless, and it's going to remain limitless because you have new users getting online every single day. And then you have these established platforms like eBay. Like there are people that have been there for decades
Yeah.
and that buy all the time. It's so credible. So just teaching women like, okay, if you're at home, you're a stay-at-home mom, you want to make an income, guess what? Get on Canva and Pinterest and Teachers Pay Teachers, all of these platforms, you can just monetize yourself and it costs nothing. It just your time. And then
Yeah.
guess what? You put it on there one time, boom, 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 sales and limitless sales. And so recognizing something that you enjoy and you love is just like, oh my gosh, I have this idea in my brain. Boom, word vomited out onto whatever it is on the computer. People will buy it, but you have to remain just honest with yourself and you have to remain truthful and you have to remain genuine because I'm not doing what Anna does.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's not the kind of coach that I am. She was my coach and I love her for that. The inspiration that I needed was exactly, but there's also grace too. And there's the inspiration and grace that I needed from the coaching has helped me get to where I am now. And
Yes.
I love Tony Robbins sphere. I love where I am now with First Form. And there's just so many things that I'm doing that are avenues that I don't have to have an overhead. And
Yeah.
that's my goal for people. You want to make sure that you do something that if you want to go into real estate and you want to have overhead, by all means do that. If that's something you're passionate about and you love and you're like, this could be so fun, that I could literally have a blank slate and I could go create a home however I want to do it and update it and you flip those, by all means do that. I will cheer you on. That is not what I do. I do the oddities thing here and there because we raise our own animals and sometimes we keep the skulls. And so I have people
Why
that want
not?
to buy it. Yeah, why not? People want to buy it. They want to buy peacock feathers, and I
Yeah.
can get creative with that. And so recognizing that there is something for everyone, no matter how weird or crazy it feels, there is someone who loves your idea, but you have to tell them. You have to tell people your ideas. Your ideas in your head get you nowhere. They just stay there. And
That
it's
is so true.
so sad to watch people with ideas that tell someone, but they never act on it. And it's like, you won't know until you actually do. And so this phrase that I love that I heard the other day listening to a podcast is be where your feet are, but your
Mm.
feet can move.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to just be there. yes, be present, but you can move your feet somewhere else.
Yeah.
So move those feet.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the benefit of being a mom. You get to learn to move your feet as you grow kids. Because
Yes.
the
They're
benefit
taking
of
you
all
everywhere.
of that is you constantly move. So there's so
Mhm,
much inspiration. All of those ideas that we have in mind can come
mhm.
to life and can benefit someone. So you can literally detach yourself from the expectations of the world and make your own rules. And Hannah
Yes,
has done it so well. You
I
run by
love
your
making
own
it.
rules
Yeah.
like no one before. And
Mhm.
you can totally see in your lifestyle, in the quality of your life, and in your experiences and in your community that the rules you create for yourself are the rules that keep you free. They're not
Yes.
tied to anything. You're not saying no to something that's important to you because of something else. If something's not aligning and you don't want it anymore, it's cleared
Mhm.
up and it's
Yeah.
so powerful. So when you think of that, last question, and we will wrap up after that. When you think of all of that, what do you think is one habit or maybe a mindset shift that has allowed you to land in this space where you can say no full body and not regret it?
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. If you're going to talk about it, be about it.
Mm,
Because when you say no, you cannot backtrack on that. And I
yeah,
think that's what gained a lot of respect in my community for me that I didn't have before is when I act and I do and I say, it's out of integrity and I stand by it and I don't change it.
amazing.
And a lot of people have come out of the woodwork to show me support that I wouldn't have had if I didn't back up what I say I'm going to do or what I say.
Yeah,
Because a lot of us, we feel intimidated or bullied or put down. And I don't allow that in my space.
yeah,
I will push back and I'm not going to allow someone to rob me of joy and the literally the pursuit of happiness, which a lot of people don't feel like is possible anymore. And
yeah,
so being able to demonstrate that of you also have to sacrifice, there comes a time where you have to say, I can't have this anymore. However, not having this is going to allow me to have this.
yeah,
And I want this more. And so, again, the detachment of it that was a season, and I'm glad I got to experience that and giving that gratitude and appreciation and thanks that it deserves to allow yourself to move into the next season and phase. I think of life as literally the same thing as seasons. We all have a spring, summer, winter, and fall. And looking at where I came out of, I think I came out of a fall, late winter, early spring, and now I'm in my true summer season of thrive. But I know that because I surrendered so much in the dark season,
yeah,
that I'm able to move forward with so much ease and less pressure and less I don't know how I don't have a right word for this. I would say less resentment and less strings attached
yeah,
because there is a season of recognizing where do I want to go
yeah,
and what do I get to take with me and what do I have to take with me and what do I not want to take with me. And if I don't want to take these things with me, then I need to also look at that and say, this is where it has to go.
yeah,
And I have to close that door. So I think that when you say no, it has to be a firm no. Don't
yeah.
say no until you're ready to say no. You can say, I'll come back to that.
Nice. Oh, so powerful. And I really believe that women in general need to learn how it feels to say no from an integrative place and knowing that when you do say no, just stick to it. And it's
Yeah.
so powerful. So, my love, where can people see you? Where can they connect with you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I am on Facebook. I that is just my home. I'm very much an older millennial, and actually I'm not even an older millennial. I'm very much the younger one, like very close to Gen Z. But I love Facebook. There is just this environment that you almost know what to get, and you
Yeah.
know that people truly are who they are posting to be because Instagram is a highlight reel. People love to put the reality on Facebook of oh, this is actually what's going on. Like, I'm going to share the struggle too, but here's how I overcame it. I am on Threads. I am on Instagram. I barely get on TikTok. It was a time suck for me. And so a boundary of like, do I really want to be on here? And removing the negative energy that it was allowing me to put out there too, it really cultivated the resentful, bitter side of me. And so I'm glad I removed myself from it because I started to recognize, like, hey, this is not healthy. And yes, it can be. You can go in there, but you have to have a really, really clear space of this is what I'm intending to do here, and that's all I'm going to do here. And I'm not going to get sucked into whatever TikTok thinks that I want to see, even though I actually don't want to see it. So Facebook is the best place. I have so many free content groups that are very niche specific. So if you want those, do not hesitate to reach out, because if you want something for fitness or you want something for homeschooling, I'm just a free resource. I do not expect anyone to pay into anything. If you want to subscribe, I would appreciate that, but you don't have to. There's no obligation to pay to interact with me. I'm a very social person. So please interact and ask any questions that you have. And you can contact me through Anna.
Yay. I love that. And I'll add all the possible links. You can share me all your links. I'll put them in the description box below. Thank you so much, Hannah, for taking the time to just open up this freedom talk of how life can be so fulfilling when you just choose
Yeah.
what's right. And it can be that simple. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak all of your truth here. And my darling, darling listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really proud of the space we get to create together. And until next time we see each other and speak to each other, remember to stay salty and bright. Bye.